On the morning of December 7, 1941, at 7:48 a.m., the Imperial Japanese Navy Air Service launched a surprise assault on the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, stunning the United States and the global community. The following day, the U.S. declared war on Japan, formally entering World War II. On December 11th, Franklin D. Roosevelt extended the war declaration to Germany and Italy. Was this Japanese assault a catastrophic military miscalculation, or a shrewd strategic maneuver designed to secure a crucial advantage? This episode of the Infographics Show delves into the events preceding and encompassing this calamitous incident. The attack on Pearl Harbor, a surprise military strike by the Imperial Japanese Navy Service. Diplomatic friction between Japan and the United States had intensified since Japan's 1931 invasion of Manchuria. Japan's expansionist actions in China ignited the Second Sino-Japanese War in 1937. The Japanese attack on the USS Panay, the Allison Incident, and the rape of Nanking severely damaged Japan's international standing. By 1940, Japan occupied French Indochina, aiming to disrupt supply routes supporting China. The U.S., alongside France and the U.K., aided China against Japanese aggression. In response, the USA halted exports of aircraft, machine tools, and aviation fuel to Japan and boosted its military presence in the Philippines to deter further Japanese expansion in the Far East. Japanese military leaders believed that their planned attacks on British territories in Southeast Asia, such as Singapore, would inevitably draw the U.S. into the war. Consequently, they deemed a preemptive strike against the Americans the optimal military strategy. In 1941, the U.S. and Japan engaged in negotiations to mend their strained relationship. On November 20th, Japan proposed withdrawing from Indochina and China, contingent on the U.S. halting aid to China and lifting all economic sanctions. 6 days later, the U.S. countered with the Hull Note, demanding unconditional Japanese withdrawal from China. Before Japan received the Hull Note, its task force had already departed for Pearl Harbor. The Japanese attack was intended to prevent the U.S. Pacific Fleet from interfering with their planned military operations in Southeast Asia. The assault also targeted U.S.-held territories, the Philippines, Guam, and Wake Island, and British possessions in Malaya, Singapore, and Hong Kong. Between 350 and 450 Japanese aircraft, launched from 6 aircraft carriers in 2 waves, participated in the Pearl Harbor assault. All American battleships suffered damage, along with 3 cruisers, 3 destroyers, and an anti-aircraft training vessel. 188 aircraft were destroyed, resulting in 2,403 American fatalities and 1,178 injuries. Japanese losses included 29 aircraft, 5 midget submarines, and 64 servicemen. A planned third wave was never launched. The Japanese attack had 4 primary objectives. First, to neutralize the American fleet. Second, to gain time to bolster their naval strength and military positioning. Third, to hinder U.S. mobilization in the Pacific. And fourth, to demoralize the U.S. government into abandoning its demands and seeking a peaceful resolution. Shortly after, and perhaps even before the attack, Japanese Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto expressed regret. The 1970 film Tora, Tora, Tora depicts Yamamoto famously stating, "I fear all we have done is awoken a sleeping giant and filled him with terrible resolve." While Yamamoto never actually said these words, his diaries reveal considerable pre- and post-operation anxiety. Yamamoto, a Harvard University alumnus, 1919 to 1921, understood the formidable threat posed by the U.S. Pearl Harbor's consequences included U.S. entry into World War II and the subsequent deployment of atomic weapons, the only instance in history. On August 6, 1945, the U.S. dropped Little Boy on Hiroshima. 3 days later, Fat Boy fell on Nagasaki. Why did Japan choose to confront an adversary with superior economic, industrial, and potentially military might? Even if successful, their plan would only have bought them time. The U.S. 1940 budget alone exceeded Japan's 10-year military shipbuilding program. The repercussions of the Pearl Harbor attack should not have been entirely unforeseen. Admiral Yamamoto likened fighting the United States to fighting the entire world. He reportedly informed his political superiors, "If you insist that we really do it, you may trust us for the perfect execution of a breathtaking show of naval victories for the first half year or full year. But if the war should be prolonged into a second or third year, I am not confident at all. Yamamoto's assessment proved accurate. Japan needed a swift victory or defeat was inevitable. By 1943, the U.S. possessed a technologically advanced fleet, authorized by the Two-Ocean Navy Act of 1940, eager for retribution. Zenji Abe, a former dive bomber pilot in the Pearl Harbor attack, aged 89 in 2006, offered his perspective in a Japan Times interview. During the war, we Japanese did not know much about Americans, and they also did not know about us. We conducted our mission as soldiers and there was no hatred there, though the government tried to teach us to have such feelings. It's just that our paths happened to cross in Pearl Harbor on that day. Abe characterized the attack as a futile diplomatic failure, placing responsibility on wartime Prime Minister General Hideki Tojo. The wartime leaders at that time told people to commit suicide if we were captured. They should have committed seppuku when the war ended, as they had responsibility for causing the suffering of so many people. Their attitudes were immoral. He concluded, I believe Japan and the world would have changed for the better if the Pearl Harbor attack did not happen, and the relationship between Japan and its neighboring countries would have been different if the wartime leaders had acted morally. Significant events like Pearl Harbor often attract conspiracy theories. The Pearl Harbor Advanced Knowledge Conspiracy Theory posits that the U.S. government was aware of the impending attack, but failed to act. This debate explores how and why the U.S. was caught off guard and the extent of its knowledge regarding Japan's military intentions. In September 1945, John T. Flynn published a 46-page document titled The Truth About Pearl Harbor. Several writers, including journalist Robert Stinnett, contended that U.S. and British government officials possessed prior knowledge of the attack, either allowing it to occur or even encouraging it. This theory suggests the attack served to draw America into the European theater of World War II through a Japanese backdoor. However, it remains a fringe theory largely rejected by mainstream historians of the period. What is your take on the Pearl Harbor attack? Was it military suicide, a poorly conceived strategic plan, a brilliant tactical maneuver, or part of a larger derailed scheme? Share your thoughts in the comments. Also, be sure to watch our other video, Weakest Armies in Asia. Thank you for watching, and remember to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.